What's up guys, it's Max here from Muscle World and finally doing this guys, finally I've reached this point. Mr. No One has probably lost a lot of patience with me, but here we go, I'm finally making this video on life after Royal Marines recruit training. If I could just take a quick moment to ask you to like the video, consider subscribing if you haven't done so already, and let's get on with the video. First point I'd like to highlight is you've just done your 32 weeks training, just got your green beret, you're pretty happy with yourselves, you're 10 feet tall after training, you go to whatever it is you're going to go, a unit or whatever, and suddenly you're going to be right at the bottom of the pile, alright? So don't get any expectations of being some kind of superhero when you get there. Expect that you're going to be making the tea regularly. Expect that any crap jobs come up, you're going to be first in line for them. And you're probably going to be the source of quite a bit of banter for the rest of the troops' entertainment. And as well, I know these are, apparently they don't go on anymore, I don't know, but expect some kind of join-in run. Now, I can't really talk about them any further than that. Next thing I want to talk about is fitness, and I know a lot of the guys who watch my channel, all of my viewers, really into your fitness, so you can keep that up. You can certainly keep that up, and you can smash your fitness once you complete your training. The way it tends to work once you get operational is you'll do troop physical training, and that will usually be some kind of run. You know, the whole troop go out for a run, or possibly with a section, you might go for your run, or you could do some kind of circuit training. And what we used to do is we used to alternate days, so one day would be a run, the next day would usually be some kind of circuit. Be aware as well that the PTIs don't take these circuits or these runs. Well, sometimes they do, but most of the times the troop will run it in-house. So what you'll find is each day they will select somebody to take the circuit or take the run, and you've got to come up with something pretty cool. Especially if you're new as well, they're probably going to pick on you to take these circuits just to get you up front, just to see what you're able to deliver. So may as well get used to talking out in front of people and you know, improve your confidence a little bit there, because you're not going to be able to be that guy who hides at the back and nobody notices. If you're into sports as well, plenty of opportunities for you to get into rugby, whatever, football or anything, lots goes on. For every Wednesday afternoon they normally do some kind of football match or whatever. Don't forget as well, on top of your troop training, which is your circuit training and your runs, you will also be able to develop your own personal fitness. So say if you know, you want to get into weight training or something like that, most bases will have some kind of fitness facility, some kind of gymnasium where you can do pretty much anything you want to do. With regards to your fitness, you still have fitness tests, few and far between. You have your annual fitness tests, which you are expected to pass. You are expected to maintain high standards, and that's across the board. That's you know, fitness, personal admin, your tidiness, and your room, etc. You are generally left to yourself to stay on top of it. But if you do slip up, get a little bit lax or a little bit lazy, then it will come down hard and you will get punished. So you do get, in training, you're inspected pretty much every day. Your accommodation gets inspected, you get personally inspected as well. That still happens, but it's to a lesser extent. It doesn't happen so regularly. Normally for things like special occasions, like if you're about to do a parade for, say, Remembrance Sunday, for example. Everyone's going to have had their own different experiences of what they got up to, and you know, I can't speak for everyone. I can't tell you what you can experience. I can't tell you what everyone else has experienced. I mean, some people, they did a hell of a lot more than I did, loads more. I mean, I only did like a certain, you know, few years, and some guys have done 22 plus years, and some guys have done incredible things and have done so much that, you know, it makes what I've done look about that big, all right? So what I will do now is I will just give a quick summary of what the sort of things I got up to in the time I was there. So from 2005 until 2009, so it was about 4.5 years in total I did that, so didn't do a huge amount. So I completed training at 2005. I went through to my PRMC in the winter of 2005 right at the start, and then went through the training. And interesting enough, actually, Hamilton was on my PRMC and through my recruit training as well, so that was pretty cool. I only realised that quite recently. But anyway, so finished training and went straight behind the wire up in Scotland. So behind the wire is basically, if you don't know, it is looking after the nuclear weapons and nuclear submarines up in Scotland. So did that, spent my Christmas there, spent New Year's there as well, because I was the new guy. I didn't get the chance to go home for these ones. There was all, the older people got the opportunity to go home for those, and fully appreciate that. More than happy to work Christmas, New Year's, whatever. It didn't matter to me at all. Came back maybe after I think 5 or 6 weeks. I had my Christmas leave then in January. I think I had my Christmas leave. So I came home then a few weeks, put on a fair bit of saves. Besides, actually made quite a few gains, so I was pleased with that. I spent some time doing similar sort of things to that, and then after a short while then we did a mountain training exercise with the US Marines, which was pretty cool, to be honest with you. They all came down from wherever they were, Fast Platoon I think they were called. They came down with us to do some mountain training up in the mountains of Scotland. We had a great time actually. We went on a 2-week exercise. We went up the mountains, we did amphibious assaults, cliff assaults, all sorts of different sort of techniques that we use, which they didn't use so much, and we were sort of showing them how to do it and cracking on with them. Good bunch of guys, good laugh. Also went up Ben Nevis towards the end as well, and that was great experience, completely covered in snow, and we had we went the hardest way possible, I think. We just had a really good time. Night out in Edinburgh then, and yeah, topped off the 2-week exercise, and it was really good exercise. Highlight of that I think actually was towards the end. I actually initiated a bit of a pull-up contest between the US Marines and Royal Marines. We had a bit of a barbecue, ended up with a big dick measuring contest pretty much, with us all doing pull-ups, see who could do the most. That was pretty fun actually. Moving on from that then, there's more exercises, every sort of, there's a big training program in place as well, even for once you're passed out, so you do operational stuff, but then you'll also have training exercises and things like that. So we had some training exercises going on, which was pretty good, learning new skills, which we didn't do in training. And after that then I got my first kind of deployment. It wasn't really a deployment, it was, well it kind of was, but we got sent to Dubai. It was the first time I'd really been abroad as an adult, so we went to Dubai for a few weeks, and that was an eye-opener for me, because Dubai, you could go into my first time in the Middle East. I hadn't travelled internationally as a child, so that was pretty cool. One thing to note as well, guys, is when you are serving, you will have, you'll have to sign, well, I had to sign a bit of paper basically to say that I would be deployable at 24 hours notice. So at any given time, no matter where I was, whether I was on leave, whether I was away somewhere, unless, if I think I was going on holiday, I could get special permission, because obviously if you go to America or Australia or something on holiday, then you're not going to be able to get back in 24 hours time, so you need to get that authorised. But most of the time you were under 24-hour notice standby, and they used that a few times. First time they used it was 2006 when I got sent to Iraq. I was on summer leave, and we were with my girlfriend, and basically just got a phone call, yeah, got to head back to base, we're off. So that quickly cancelled my weekend, or my week away in Tenby. I quickly had to cancel those plans. Went up to Iraq and yeah, had my first sort of operational tour. So that lasted a few weeks, a few months, and yeah, came back, a few weeks leave again. I think it was around about Christmas time, I think I got home. Still remember we went to a wedding, Christmas Eve, yeah, just before Christmas, and then a few more weeks home, and then we got deployed again. So it was constantly deployed really. So deployed again, this time it was on a Royal Navy ship, HMS Campbelltown. We flew to Crete, got on there, went down through the Suez Canal. We were just basically glorified security guards and a boarding team. So what we were doing is we were going out into the Gulf of Aden, etc., and just boarding vessels looking for terrorists or drugs, and pirates, and that sort of thing. To be honest, it was a bit of a farce on operation. It wasn't really a great op, and I think that's more for the sort of Royal Navy side of things. He didn't really seem that interested in doing much. But that being said, I made some great friends on HMS Campbelltown, and I'm still in touch with some of them today. Good bunch of people, and it's not all true what they say about Matlows. So after I got back from that, this would be early 2007, also maybe springtime 2007. To be honest, I can't quite remember what I was getting up to then. I know you'd occasionally go through to training courses. You go to Royal Navy training courses like firefighting, sea survival, them sort of things. So they'd be interspersed, sort of in between things. And if when you weren't deployed, and also as well, I remember we did. Some scientists came down and did experiments on us. Sorry, sounds a bit dodgy actually, but yeah, they came down and they were doing tests on us to see what the impacts on the impact of certain things on the human body. So they were doing studies on us. So I remember there was a 2-week period. I think it was actually after that deployment we went on leave again after that, we came back and we had to do all these tests and blood tests for 2 weeks, and we were pretty much kept in isolation for 2 weeks to do these tests. So all sorts of things like that were going on in the middle of your operations and your training. So there wasn't a lot of just sitting around on camp doing nothing. Sometimes get pulled away to play enemy for certain groups. We did enemy for the sniper team, for the snipers course, and I think that was a good 2 weeks where we were playing enemy. We had to basically pretend to be an opposing force so that they could observe us and then eventually attack us and hone their tactics and their skills. Foreign special forces as well were using the same training facilities. I also remember doing it for the mountain leaders, and those guys, they are brilliant. They were, we didn't even spot them. We did not spot them once. They basically, I think it was about 2 weeks, they had to do observations and reconnaissance work on us. Didn't notice them. I knew they were there, obviously, because we were playing enemy for them, but I didn't even notice them. And eventually then there was an attack. I think it was the Dutch Marines were, the invading force then, and they had to come and fight us, and we had to defend our positions. And it's things like that, good fun, good laugh, and it's great to see the other organisations, the other teams, doing their work and working together and honing their skills. So things like that just pop up every now and then for you to do, but I always found them pretty interesting and pretty fun, because you could also relax a little bit as well when you're doing them, because you're not really under that much sort of pressure. I'm pretty sure in 2007 was just taken up with little small deployments to the Middle East. So 2007 then went back to Iraq, not for so much long as, not for as long this time. It was only for a short period of time. We went to Qazar in the south at southernmost port. I think we had to take the first British flag vessel to the port and make sure everything was fine there. So that was been a pretty momentous day, I suppose you could look at it like that. Got on the port, had a little chat with the locals, stayed there for a short while, and then just made sure that everything was okay. Probably went, various other places. I just seem to remember, I have memories of being in Cyprus and places in Africa and things like that. But, it was only for short periods of time, but I certainly did get to travel quite a lot. So this would then take me to 2008, and yeah, 2008 was. I started 2008 in Bahrain. I remember that well. I remember we got sent to Bahrain. I can't remember for the life of me why we got sent there, but I was in Bahrain. We flew on New Year's Eve, landed in Bahrain on New Year's Eve again, in the daytime, in the afternoon. Checked into a very nice hotel because everywhere was booked in, and we didn't have to do anything until I think the following day or possibly the day after, when we were going on board some kind of Navy ship, I think, or merchant ship. I can't remember, possibly an RFA ship. Can't really remember. We were basically going as glorified security guards. But yeah, this New Year's Eve was brilliant because we managed to fly so early. We had New Year's Eve off in Bahrain, and there was like 4 warships in dock in the port. So it was. It was a good night out. We managed to get downtown, good run ashore, and yeah, it was one of these places. You went to the bar and you paid something like £30, and yeah, you just free drink all night. It was crazy. You went in there, £30 on the door, get a little wristband, and you just had whatever you wanted to drink. It was fantastic, and you just knew everyone in the bar. It was literally full of Marines, full of Matlows, and locals as well. Expats as well. So it was in US Marines, US Navy. Brilliant night. And I just got this memory of being in some fancy hotel at about 3 o'clock in the morning, I guess. It was definitely after midnight. I don't know why, but I remember I was running through the kitchen. All the chefs in their big white hats were frying things up, and flames and things going up everywhere on the grills. And I was running through the kitchen being chased by 2 big burly security guards. Absolutely no idea what happened, but that memory is still there. Before is not there, and after is not there. So I don't know what happened then, but it was a great night. Move on then to 2008, and it was the 3rd or possibly 4th time then that they used this 24-hour deployment malarkey. And yeah, we remember lying in bed. It's a good job really, because we went out drinking the night before. You could probably see where I'm going with this now. Is the nights out were pretty much a foundation of our kind of routine when we weren't working or we weren't training. I remember actually some dignitaries were coming down, and I forgot to set my alarm. So we were doing this big demonstration for all these politicians or whoever they were, and they were coming down to watch us do, you know, boardings and shooting ranges and all sorts of different things, you know, the sort of things we get up to. And and yeah, it was a good job because I didn't set my alarm. So I would have overslept this, but luckily, when I say luckily, the deployment call came through. It got me up. It was actually what woke me up because the phone rang and I was like, oh, who's this? Yeah, we're deploying tomorrow. And I was like, oh, no, yeah, it was deploying in the morning tomorrow. So I was like, oh, okay then, let's check the time. Crap. Running then to get ready and do this this thing. So it worked out quite well, because otherwise I would have gotten in a lot of trouble for that. But because it would have been very embarrassing. Anyway, yes, we had this fast deployment, went to Kuwait, and it was another maritime operation actually. It was Operation Telic, so it was still Iraq, but we were doing the sort of maritime. In 2008, things had changed a little bit, really, the dynamics of what was going on over there. So 2008, we were off near the oil platforms, and they worked out that I think it's about 95% of the oil revenue from Iraq was coming from these oil platforms, and they were trying to rebuild them and trying to get everything sorted, and they were trying to rebuild their own security. So, you know, we were tasked there with ensuring the security. We were doing boardings as well and intelligence gathering and just sort of checking everyone who's coming in the area were legitimate. And yeah, it was just searching, clearing tanker ships before they went into the terminals. To be honest with you, it was an okay deployment actually. It lasted about 5 months. And it was, yeah, pretty good deployment. And it was during that time that I put my notice in to leave. So it was a year later then that I actually left. And when I came back to the UK then, there was a lot of talk about the Piracy was just starting off, so we became the first designated counter-piracy team. So that was all being put together, the tactics were being put together, the training programme was intense. It was a good training programme actually. It was literally getting up in the morning, spend the rest of the day booting down doors, storming rooms, and just training. You know, really proper soldiering stuff that, you know, we hadn't done for a while. Aggressive training and the sort of stuff that you join the military for. I was part of that team for some time, and then eventually they started realising that my termination point was arriving, and sadly I had to leave the team because that's where all my friends were, and I'd been part of that team for a while and I was really enjoying it. I probably, in hindsight, should have gone for some kind of extension to try and stay there because it was a good little number, I think. But I was wary that I could also be open for being sent somewhere else. So I decided to go with, against all advice, I decided to go with what I'd initially planned to do, and I moved on, and they shipped me off then to a different kind of area up in Scotland, and I was doing like security patrols for sort of security convoys for nuclear weapons and nuclear submarines along the river. I worked with a good team there, and you know, I was with them for a short time, but you know, I had some good friends, made some good friends in that short period of time. Eventually then, of course, I left, so there we are. So all I can say is, I mean, that was a very brief summary of what I got up to in 4.5 years, and I'm sure there's things there that I've just completely forgot to mention. There's a few things I didn't really go into detail of, there's a few things I probably can't go into detail of, but yeah, I had a great time, and it was certainly an adventure. And all I can say to you is, if you were thinking about joining, and most of the people who watch this series are obviously thinking about joining, all I can say is, if it is for you, it is what you want to do, then you will most certainly have an adventure as well, and there's certainly a lot you can do as well. Anyway, thank you so much for staying with me while I've waffled on about it. I hope I haven't bored you to death. Could be some good bedtime watching for you if you wanted to have a nice kip. I'll see you next week. Take care.